Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Baldur's Gate 3. As today we continue exploring the Rosie-Morn Monastery. And I will say, in studying the map, it's actually kind of dawned on me that the monastery and Kresh-Yulek are two distinctly separate locations. Initially, I thought we were going to encounter Gith once we started exploring the structure, but it actually turns out that while the Gith did slaughter the monks to take over the monastery, they only really seem interested in holding the lower levels, while, as we've seen, they've essentially left the upper levels to collapse and become infested with all manner of monsters. So yeah, while there is technically some overlap, as we saw when we first approached the front entrance, they are essentially their own distinctly separate dungeons. So I guess today we'll just focus on clearing the surface structure. Look for context clues and, of course, those Lathendarian relics. We should have at least 3 in the wild. The blood, the lance, and the axe. Though I'm sure at least some of them are hidden in the caverns below. But yeah, overall we should have no shortage of things to do here.
Let's pop you open, shall we?
The eagle's up top, the kobold's down below, the guardian across the way. Whatever's going on with that altar chamber. Journal of a Novice Monk. There's rumors of a Githyanki sighting in the region. The Dawnmaster's inner circle think we don't know, but it's all anyone can talk about. What do they want? Can they be after the blood itself? How would they even have found out about it? Personally, I'm excited. If there really is a Githyanki attack, there's a chance they'll fire the lance. To see the light of Lathander himself launch forth from Rosie-Morn's roof. That would be something to write home about. Brother Wellen claims he saw it once, and it was so bright it nearly made him blind. Luckily, he says it's quite hard to fire. But once we do, those Githyanki won't know what hit them. Interesting. So mention of the blood, mention of the lance, treating it as if it's two separate things, with the latter apparently being located up on the roof. That's eagle territory. You know, the Lance of Lathander might be like a giant enchanted ballista or something. We have been seeing those weird giant bolts along the trail on the way here, which I kind of treated as like Gith road markers or something, but it could also very well be evidence of this lance being fired at the Gith as they progressed along the trail. Which could also imply the lance is, of course, an item of value, but one much too large and cumbersome for us to actually make use of, or take. I mean, perhaps we'll still have a use for it, perhaps we'll be given a chance to deploy it against a Gith dragon or something. Nice. Oh, yeah, man, that's an obvious climb path right there.
How much farther can I go?
But we have a much simpler ascent path right over here on the balcony. Plus, we need to clear the balcony anyway. Which I'm now realizing we could actually just jump out this window, too. That's something else I really have to watch out for. Conspicuously broken windows. Though in this case, it's largely redundant. Where'd Rex get off to? Come on, bud. Gotta keep up.
Something over there.
Nice. It's cool, Scratch. I got this one. Unless you're pointing us at something else. Oh, I see. Very conspicuous platform over here. Oh, I see. Okay, it leads back down to the winery.
Best be on my way.
Then we have the vines, which go up to the rooftop. Okay, so this is like a juncture point between the levels. Alright, let's check this platform here real quick. We have to scope out the winery anyway. Seems pretty clear. Not sure what Scratch was barking at. Unless it's something in the winery. He might have been barking through elevation levels again. Alright, let's see what's going on with these guys. Oh man, I really hope we don't have to fight them. These guys are adorable. Though, I mean, I noticed that they're marked as hostile and we only have an attack option. That's a bummer. Why would they set up such an absurdly hilarious scenario only to force us into combat? Let's see if we can gin up some conversation here. Oh, hold on. That did not come from the actual kobolds. That came from these barrels of fire wine. Interesting. So we may have yet more kobolds than meet the eye here. Oh, come on. Boo. Fine. Alright. How bold of you guys to assume you can actually win this.
That kobold reeks of spirits. Fire could be explosive.
Yeah. That's actually a good point. We are ankle deep in booze, and these guys are like 90% alcohol.
Strike hard, strike fast.
In retrospect, that might actually be why they threw such a seemingly low-level threat at us so late in the game. It's a misdirect. The real threat here isn't the kobolds themselves, it's the risk of inadvertently setting off a chain reaction. Scratch, why don't you wait out here, bud? There is a not insubstantial chance we might explode.
I got this.
Alright, let's tear them up. No sparks, no flames, just blasts, blades, and
Close ranks.
possibly some barrels? Aha! So a double misdirect. We have a second wave of kobolds. Yes, okay. So we'll smash up all the barrels too. These kegs shall not stand.
No choice but to keep going. On my way.
I will say, while I still feel bad about this, ow. It is a pretty fun battlefield. We've got multiple levels of elevation. We've got an excuse to smash up the scenery. Not to mention the constant, perpetual threat of this whole place going up like a bottle of Fireball.
My path be true.
Oh, that one was actually just fire wine. Well, better safe than sorry. We'll still give them both barrels. Though I will say, I would be much more reluctant to smash these things up without being sure if they actually had realistic trade values. And as always, that is one of my key complaints about the world design for Baldur's Gate 3 is just the really kind of forcibly suppressed treasure economy. And, you know, I only really harp on that because as a former game master, or a former dungeon master,
Let's end this.
again, I always took pride in placing treasure, obvious or otherwise, and were I to have designed this encounter... Ow.
Let's cook with fire, baby.
Trying to preserve barrels of wine would have definitely been a big part of it. You know, each one of them, in theory, would be worth like 20, 50 gold easy, possibly more. But in order to actually cash in on that, the players would not only have to make sure they survived the fight, but then also find some way to reasonably transport them to a nearby trading hub. Holy crap. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I was not... Wow. Her, like, body slammed those kobolds so hard she took out the entire walkway. That is pretty cool. That is fantastic. I like that. I like that a lot.
Under their noses.
But yeah, see, like that. I think Larian really does excel when it comes to making unique, fun encounters like this one. And creating interesting locations to explore with granular, nuanced stories. And surprisingly tightly interwoven lore. I've really been impressed on that front. But where they definitely drop the ball, where it really kind of...
Let's go.
Takes me out of the immersion of it all, is when it comes to, you know, to the, I suppose, logical consistency of the world around you, like beyond just your characters. The whole treasure economy, trading system, crime and punishment system, they're all essentially designed artificially to try to control the player's growth. And I mean, sure, there's ways around it. I've seen multiple tips on how to game the system to essentially gain infinite loot or to steal a vendor's entire inventory in a single go, etc., etc. But, I mean, it's pretty unnecessary.
Make way.
The game's already pretty easy, thus far. And B, it really just ends up kind of breaking the immersion even more if I start engaging in those sorts of meta hijinks, at least to that extent. You know, the whole broken economy, the whole psychic shopkeep thing, those already bug me and tend to break my immersion. So the last thing I really need to do is double down on that by then also tricking shopkeeps into putting all their goods into a single bag I can pickpocket off their belt.
Got to focus.
Or finding ways to sell them the same item over and over again to perpetually harvest infinite gold.
Heading there.
Anyway, didn't really mean to go off on that much of a tangent. As I mentioned, it's always been a bit of a pet peeve of mine. You know, the cRPG style of economy you very often see in these games. A world where everyone offers you the tiniest fraction of an item's actual market value. and then in turn charges a 2 to 500% markup. A world where item valuation is often based off of battlefield utility versus actual intrinsic trade value. You know, a flask of oil goes for 20 gold because you can use it to make the floor slippery or light it on fire. Versus a gold ring, which should be worth a bunch, but despite being a treasure item, only goes for 10 gold, or a giant honkin' 40-pound barrel of wine goes for 1 gold because it has no practical in-game utility beyond just hucking it at people. That's it. I suppose if Larian really did want to do a more granular economy, which isn't really their thing, you know, as established, it would have been better for them to go for the full copper, silver, gold tiered monetary system. That would make it a whole lot easier for them to have a lot of this basic game clutter without having to worry about how much it's all worth. I mean, I will say, if a lot of this clutter was worth a copper piece per, I'd be a lot less likely to hoard it.
Time to press ahead.
Yeah, I'm lying. I'd still take it. But, you know, in theory, there's a chance I wouldn't.
Time to strike.
And we're good. One for the ages. Lae'zel is inspired. One for the ages. Survive a fight in which you kill 10 or more enemies. Yeah, I guess technically that would qualify. Though, I mean, I've got to say, if you walked into your average mid-level adventurers guild and tried to brag about that, you would get laughed right back out. Side note, I know I got kind of sidetracked on the whole treasure thing, but one of the other things kind of bugging me about this encounter is it just me, or is it super weird that Larian would make kobolds a mandatory combat encounter when they went so far out of their way to provide so much non-combat goblin content? It does really make you wonder why they would do that, because kobolds really do feel like they would fit right into Larian's Monty Python-esque sense of humor.
One day I'll catch a break.
Honestly, feels like kind of a missed opportunity. Though I will say, the insidiousness of explosive kobolds is very much a Larian thing. Ooh, here we go. Ceremonial mace. The leather handle of this mace smells badly of rotting blood. Interesting. Also a book that I forgot to look at. Kobold Journal. A tattered book of drawings, stained with wine, and reeking of bodily fluids of all sorts. A collection of drawings, some cruder than others. Most of them feature kobolds in varying degrees of nakedness, some performing sexual acts on themselves and some on each other. The final pages, however, feature more varied subjects. A soaring red dragon, Githyanki of various ages, and surprisingly detailed depictions of wine bottles. Well, I'm not really sure why that last part would be all that surprising, considering where we are. But cool, yeah, good, great. We crashed a drunken kobold orgy and we killed it, you know. Yeah, let's maybe not touch that campfire. See, that's actually something else I'm noticing here, too, is that they went out of their way to make this battle board much more destructible than usual. A lot of these, like, support beams and platforms, for example, as we saw with Karlach's Body Slam, are actually collapsible. That's for when this place inevitably went up, either from our own misstep or from, I think the Inventor up top had Alchemist's Fire. Though, like, the campfire does make me feel like there should have been some way we could walk in and trick these guys. Obviously, it would have been a huge waste of resources, but, I mean, imagine walking in and convincing them the place is too chilly and getting them to light that campfire, only for the whole place to go up. Again, feels like a missed opportunity. Though, you know, obviously, in my particular case, I would have avoided that specific approach in favor of salvaging more loot after. Not, I suppose, that these guys actually have all that much in the way of notable loot. Even the wine reserves are low, with the logical reason being that winery records. That they were busy drinking or spilling it all, which I can certainly appreciate. Though there's a thought, too. Like, the one big thing they did have of note was that ceremonial mace we pulled off the one of the looters. That would have made an ideal quest reward for people like me who would have preferred to not just come in and slaughter these poor guys, to instead have some fun times bantering with kobolds and, you know, possibly doing a minor quest or two to make up for the loss of XP from not slaughtering them. Like the eagles. The eagles are an obvious end there. As the J told us, the eagles feed off of the kobolds. And I'm sure that's something the kobolds would prefer to avoid, being torn limb from limb by hungry eagles. We could have had some quest overlap there. You know, turn this binary eagle/blue jay quest into more of a circular three-way overlap with the eagle wanting to keep its nest and or lure more kobolds out to eat, versus the kobolds preferring not to be eaten, and the blue jay preferring to get its nest back, each coming with their own minor but distinct rewards, though I'm sure ones that we could probably still get just by slaughtering them, as we did here. But yeah, I could have easily seen that being a way for us to get that ceremonial mace, without us having to slaughter a bunch of drunken, horny kobolds. But, you know, it is what it is. There is such a thing as scope creep. You have to draw the line somewhere. Winery records. A ledger of wines sold by the monastery. 1 bottle, 1 pan. 3 bottles, gold donation. 2 bottles, 1 cat. 10 bottles, large donation. 5 bottles, donation of herbs. Interesting. Okay, doesn't really tell us much, but we do have the Gurmishka nod there, plus possibly reference to a possible loot stash here somewhere. Very vague, though. If it were in reference to a stash of loot somewhere, you'd think they'd be a bit more specific about it, like at least drop a hint along the lines of, oops, gold secured in vault, or herbs moved to apothecary. As it stands, that doesn't really give us much to work with, aside from the obvious, which is that there is, in fact, loot on the ground somewhere. Which, yeah, obviously, we've been picking up loot since we got here. That is actually one other thing that's kind of struck me since we got into this area in general, I think, is that it does feel like certain aspects, like the lore objects we're finding, are a bit different in format in how they've been presented, right? It can't just be me that's noticed. Oh, you know what? While we're out here, there is one other thing I wanted to check out. Let's pop down the path here real quick. When we made our approach last time around, one of the viewers spotted some climbable vines that I apparently glossed right past. Oh yeah, right there. But yeah, with the books, that's definitely something that's caught my attention since we got here. Like the Kobold Journal we just picked up was an exception, but almost every book out here thus far has used the same copy-pasted description. Oh, okay, we've got a back door. So that's a potential alternate entrance. Should the Gith refuse us access through the through whatever the intended path might be. I assume a basement door or something. I mean, obviously we don't want to do this area just yet, but we can poke our head in real quick. Just to get an idea of where it comes out. Ah, I see. Some sort of Gith storage room noted. Also good to know where this path comes out, should we need to make a swift exit. For now, though, we still have the second level and rooftop to clear. Oh, yeah, see, that right there is what I was talking about earlier, too. The giant, like, ballista projectiles. Or arbalist projectiles. We've seen a number of those as we've traveled around the exterior of the monastery, which I kind of treated as like road markers, but in retrospect they could definitely be projectiles launched by a magical ranged weapon of some sort. Though I suppose if that were the case, you'd expect to see at least a few of them buried tip first into the ground, or impaled on skeletons or something. I suppose we'll know for certain once we actually find this lance. Alright, so let's check out that weird altar room we passed earlier. Then we also have the Guardian Chamber just across the way, plus the entire rooftop. Oh, I see. Okay, yeah, this actually looks pretty obvious now that I'm giving it a closer look. We have 4 altars adorned with crystals, the only one of which is actually lit up, being the one with a ceremonial weapon atop. Just like the ceremonial mace we just recovered from those kobolds. Gotcha. We also have an interactive stained glass window on the floor, which has pictures of figures wielding weapons. Yes, okay. Very, very basic object combination puzzle. Oh. What's up, bud? Oh, right. Broken windows. Really got to pay attention to those. Exterior walkway. Oh, okay.
What's that?
So a stash and yet another route up to the rooftop. Very nice. Thank you, Scratch. You're a very good boy. Anything else out here? Broken window leading out to the other partially collapsed barricade, which also leads into the Guardian room, noted. So we have 3 potential entrances to that room over there. One through the wall, one through the door, one through the window. Oop, scratch that. Door is actually barricaded, so that is a fake out. Fair enough. We've got 2 other ways in.
The monastery's notable keepers adorn these intricate panels. Lathendarian monasteries of this size were usually overseen by Dawn Masters, esteemed members of the clergy.
Yeah, we're seeing a sword, we're seeing a hammer, we're seeing one that's smashed to obscure the weapon. Dawnmaster Seed.
The reconsecration of the monastery, conducted by Dawnmaster Seed.
Seed is hammer, noted. Dawnmaster Stockhold. Askell Stockhold, that's the grave over yonder.
Evensong before the Zenith Day, celebrated by Dawnmaster Stockhold.
No obvious weapon. Though perhaps a good excuse to dig up his grave.
Dawnmaster Vassaid wielding... The rest of the inscription and picture has shattered away.
Yep, that makes sense. We already know it's an axe. We found it in that book, in the Grimishka chamber. And then Dawnmaster RetconRaider's got to be the longsword. We already have that here.
Dawnmaster RetconRaider beckons forth the rising sun in Lathander's name.
Yep, and that's our big clue here.
Dawnmaster Vassaid.
So, ceremonial axe,
Dawnmaster RetconRaider.
ceremonial sword, basic +1,
Dawnmaster Seed.
ceremonial hammer,
Dawnmaster Stockhold.
which by process of elimination means that this must be ceremonial mace, because it's the only one that isn't already assigned to someone. Yep. So perhaps we won't go digging up any graves today. Oh, right, we found a book. Guest book of Rosemorn Abbey. Yeah, we got sidetracked by Scratch right after we picked this up. A public guest book in which there are multiple handwritten entries from pilgrims who visited over the years. My home is as dark as my spirit. I pray that you will bring me light. Annual Clythorn pilgrimage. Good to see your statue again, my lord. Never been here in person. The stained glass windows are astonishing. Will definitely recommend to others. Monks are friendly. We'll visit again soon. As a blacksmith, what an honor to see the 4 ceremonial weapons of the Dawn Masters themselves. I'm not a Lathandarian myself, but I'd highly recommend it to anyone in the trade. The intricacy of the metalwork is astounding. Right. So very, very basic clue. To, I guess, help people draw the connection between the altars and weapons if they hadn't already. Though, I mean, I feel like it was so obvious we had it clocked the second we walked in. Let's clear the second balcony. And maybe get another peek at that Guardian. Oh, look at that. Okay. There's our ceremonial axe. So that's all of them. That's all of them except for the ceremonial hammer. Which we haven't gotten any hints on yet. It's got to be roof or cellar. But yeah, I guess that means we should go ahead and confront this Guardian. We've got an access point right here.
A Guardian of Faith spell. And a remarkably long-lasting one at that.
Okay, can't interact with it either. Looks like an obvious last stand here. Notice the remains are all clustered right around it. Oh, right, including the one that's cut in half. Interesting. Feels like there's a story there. Okay, so we have a clear guard zone. The Guardian's probably just a glorified construct. I guess that would explain why we can't talk to it, but we should be able to at least... Oh, yeah, here we go. We should be able to at least pick up everything outside its guard zone without it bothering us. Last notes of a monk. Nice. Redolent with the scent of paper and ink. To whom it may concern. If this is found, this is the journal of Brother Wellin, novice of Lathander, documenting the Githyanki attack on Rosimorn Monastery for posterity. The Githyanki launched their attack at dawn. A few of us managed to barricade ourselves in a room and summoned a guardian of faith to protect us, or at least buy us time to figure out what to do to get out of here. No ideas yet, but we have faith. Lathander will preserve us in our time of need. The Gith seem to have backed off. Morning Lord be blessed. They haven't hammered on the door for a while now, but it's hard to say if they've given up their attack altogether. Need to wait it out to see. I knew it was too good to be true. A Gith managed to make its way through the window. Fortunately, the Guardian of Faith took care of it, but I'm sure that others will come. Still, that smashed window is giving me an idea of an escape plan. Still trapped. Just heard a roar. I think it might be a dragon. If it is, the rest of the journal has been burned away. Okay, yes, that does provide context for the scene laid out before us. Last stand of the Lathanderites. They barricaded themselves in, summoned the Guardian. The half-corpse must be the one Gith that made its way in through the window. And then, unable to shake them loose, the Gith just cut things short by having a dragon breathe into the room and vaporize all of the holdouts. With only the Guardian surviving, remaining here to mindlessly continue its vigil. Scratch, why don't you hang back, buddy? We're going to do some experimenting here.
All's well that ends. Not as bad as it could have.
Oh, look at that. We have one owned skeleton. Given the axe nearby, that might be Dawnmaster Vasid or Vasaid. Which might imply that the Guardian only cares if we mess with that body in particular. Nope. Well. Alright, I think we can put that hypothesis to rest. As well, I suppose, as this Guardian. Fair enough. I really kind of poked the bear there. Get in here, Rex. I've got another experiment to run. Oh. Okay, it's got a retaliation move like Lae'zel. Yes, okay, so it takes a swing back. Oh, interesting. It takes a swing back every time we miss, but it also damages itself in the process. Hold on. Oh, I see. Okay. So it's really more of a kind of charged environmental hazard. Attacks anyone who enters its zone, attacks anyone who attacks it, but loses 10 hit points each time.
I am fury. I am death.
Doesn't seem mobile, so logically we should just hit it from range.
Go on.
Yep, okay, that'll do it. Yeah, kind of trivial once we figured out what its deal was.
So that's progress.
I mean, technically, I guess I could have looked at the stats before we even attacked it, but I'm kind of trying to avoid that just because it does, again, feel a little overly meta. I am the sort of dungeon master who frowned on players busting out DM material mid-game, you know, to look up info that their characters might not otherwise necessarily have. Like, you know, just cracking open a monster manual in the middle of an encounter to get the 411 on how specific abilities worked. I will say, again, that does feel like a missed opportunity from Larian. You know, they've got a lot of skill support in this game, but that feels like an area that they really kind of glossed over. They should have had skill checks when you look at those monster sheets to determine exactly how much feedback you get on what they are and what their abilities might be, and so on. Yeah, I think we can skip the grave.
Very well.
As opposed to just laying it all out for you. I would have also actually loved to see bio blurbs on those sheets. Something to give you better context of what a creature is and what it might be doing there. Though, I mean, obviously in this case we know... we get the general gist of what it was and why it was here. But still, I'm a sucker for lore. And as with many things, because Larian is so good about it in some areas, it really does make it much more noticeable when you hit these areas where they kind of skimped or glossed over. Side note, not complaining, just analyzing. The more I get into a game, the more I tend to really kind of hyper-scrutinize it. Especially when it's something like this that's so close to something I used to do all the time, which is run tabletop games. Alright, let's head up top. Oh ho, instant treasure. A ceremonial hammer, mayhaps? No hammer, just a hangnail. Lovely. Oh wow, actually there's no actual roof access from here. It's just the interior of the tower. Weird.
No time to dally. What are you hiding?
Scroll of Revivify, sure. Haven't really needed them thus far, but I'm always happy to hoard.
Don't waste a step.
Huh. Alright, let's swing around to the other balcony. We have an easy access just around the corner. And then, failing that, we also have the storage room. We're also, I noticed, getting close to time, but we'll run a bit long today. At the very least, I'd like to clear the roof. Get ourselves into a good position to breach the creche next time around. Whole lot of nothing so far. There's our storage room access. Would have brought us up right here. Ancient Gith warrior. We've also got these little burrows scattered around, but non-interactable. Githyanki Slate.
fallen Githyanki warrior. A creche must be close.
Yeah, I feel like there's a pretty good chance of that. Lae'zel, good call. What would I do without you? This stone disc has Githyanki runes carved into it. Below them is drawn a translation in the common tongue. Location, good. Close to road, but secluded. Building looks well fortified. Defense, minimal. Seems to be a religious building. Space, ample. Underground. Hidden. Was easy enough to sneak in without being observed. Prime spot for creche. Suggest immediate occupation. Malar Rihal. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so that would imply that despite the ties between the Sharans and the Lethandarians, the Gith really had nothing against the monks of Rosimorn. They were just a target of opportunity. They saw a structure with potential strategic use and just took it. Which does really play to, I suppose, the amoral pragmatism of the Githyanki as a whole. As often illustrated by Lae'zel, though she also seems to have her bursts of passion. Not to mention rationalizing things that Gith would probably never actually approve of. Which does kind of mark her as an outlier. Oh, for goodness sake, come on now. Do we have anti-entangle boots? Oh, right, no, I've got them on Lae'zel. Not worth swapping. Ooh. Well, hello there, giant eagles. And you know what? I'm going to say it right now. Oh, gosh. Gosh darn it. Of course, there's our hammer. Owned and in the eagle's nest. Holy moly. Okay, yes, that has got to be our lance. That is not at all what I was expecting. That is less magic arbalist or ballista and more Saturday morning cartoon supervillain Death Ray. Which currently seems to be aimed at the little plateau we saw the giant symbol of Lathander on. Interesting. Interesting. Why would we want to shoot that? Unless it's a misdirect. We also have this mural here, which seems to be right on the side opposite it. Ooh, nice. Weird place to keep your healing potions, but I'm happy to take them. Also looks like a big schism in the roof here. We'll have to... Oh, I see. We can jump from just past the eagle's nest. Which I guess means we should make our approach. Let's chat these guys up real quick. Maybe we can convince them to let us check out the lance and maybe grab that hammer while we're at it. Also, inversely, going back to the whole quest potential with the kobolds, you know, on the other side of things, since the eagle obviously feeds on the kobolds, or fed on them, they're gone now. That could have been another means of getting the mace. Help the eagle catch more kobolds, find the mace in the nest afterwards.
Intruder! In my nest! This area was meant to be safe! Xavier, get behind Mummy!
Oh, is that your kid? Gosh darn it. Well, now I really don't want to fight you. Especially because I think it is pretty obvious at that point that that blue jay is just an asshole. Sorry, a cloaca. It's clear this was not, in fact, his nest, although I suppose it is possible the blue jay did have a nest up here, but then the eagles chased him off and built their own. I wish we had more nuanced responses here. Easy now. I'm not here for your nest. I'm just here to investigate this giant bird-killing laser.
Fine. Xavier! Xavier! Don't talk to it. It might have germs.
Wow, rude. But not necessarily wrong.
Looks to be a powerful weapon. I wonder if it was used on the Githyanki nearby.
That is a good question, because originally I was expecting a giant crossbow, not a death ray. And we have seen no real signs of death ray impacts, especially since, again, it's aimed at the holy symbol out front. Okay, so we've got this crystal-lined wheel. We have crystals we can interact with around the base, but half of them seem to be covered by foliage, which we might be able to burn out, but I'm worried if we try doing that, it might aggro the eagles. Yeah, see, Xavier is standing right on this patch.
You can pass, but you're not to talk to me. Gross.
Well, I was really hoping I could get you to move, but fair enough.
Please get out of my nest. You give Xavier ideas.
Wow. So, how exactly are we supposed to approach this? It's obvious that we're supposed to do something with this giant ray. And obviously we need that ceremonial warhammer too.
Don't want to draw any attention. Can't risk being in open view.
They've got the whole area covered. Oh, wait, I know what we can do. Okay, yeah. Yeah, we picked up just the right item for this earlier. In fact, given the exact placement in the storage room over yonder, they may have very deliberately placed those items there with this specifically in mind. We'll just obscure the nest with fog, then we'll grab the hammer. Though I am less certain about burning the foliage, I think that would still aggro. Which is fine. I mean, we'll hold off on experimenting with the lance until we have a better idea of what to do with it. Yeah, so just make sure we cover both of these guys. Oh! Shit, wait, no. Wait, no. Since when does fog aggro? That should have worked. Alright, well. Sorry, Xavier.
Keep fighting.
Sorry, Xavier's mother. I guess I'm murdering you now. Not what I wanted to do, but, you know, these things happen in the fog of war. Ow.
It's screeching for help.
Yeah, why not? Invite your friends. The more the merrier.
This'll help.
This sucks. I'm gonna have to look into this. This has to be something they changed recently, because it's definitely not how it worked when I started this run.
I wonder if this is worth the cost.
Like, I know I used it at the Druid Grove, because that's how I got the +1 breastplate for Karlach. I dropped a fog cloud on Dammon, and then grabbed it when he couldn't see us. That wouldn't be too long ago, right? I mean, I guess technically it would actually be at least a few months. We did the Underdark and the Grimforge after that. But yeah, I'll look into it. It must be something they patched in since then to make it slightly harder to game the system. Which I guess I kind of have mixed feelings on, because, like, obviously on the one hand, I do feel it was silly you could exploit the merchant so easily. But on the other hand, I feel like it should have been a viable solution here, especially since... Oh, interesting. Well, there's a silver lining. I would not have realized we could actually target this thing, or more specifically, the foliage growing all over it, if I hadn't inadvertently picked this fight. So that might be a clue as to how we can actually activate it. Perhaps if we specifically target the lance with a fire attack. I mean, not that we have to worry about accidentally aggroing the eagles at this point, I suppose. Hey, welcome to the party, guys. Oh, right, I keep forgetting I can do this. Anyway, I'm over it. On the one hand, you know, I would have preferred not to aggro these guys at all. I would have liked to find a way to grab that hammer. But, you know, on the other hand...
Handy.
This does make a number of other things easier for us. We get loot, we get XP, we get our hammer, and easy access to the lance. Not to mention we can also resolve the Blue Jays quest.
Despite everything.
Not that they really deserve it, but, you know. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe the eagle did, in fact, roust the Blue Jay and then build her own nest up here. Sadly, they didn't really give us any option to ask about it outside of just straight up accusing her, and I can't imagine that would have ended well either. At the end of the day, it's just bird ethics, man. And bird ethics are messed up. Really? What is this? Just Buffett buffet?
My faith will protect me.
You know what? That's probably not a bad idea, all things considered. Let's lean on the old faith, shall we?
I will not know failure.
Of course. That's fine. We're good. We're good. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Covered.
Or stay.
Can't even
I
catch
guess
my
that works
breath.
too. Perhaps I am the one who will go. Oh, we should finish this one off.
These boots have seen everything.
Sorry, ma'am. It's fine, we just winged her. Ow. Oh, come on. Knocking all our concentration spells out. Not a huge deal, I suppose. Most of those reset on short. Actually, in retrospect, I guess it's the fog cloud that knocked out Hex. Yeah, I didn't really think that one through. I was just so excited for a missed opportunity, but it did not work out at all how I envisioned. We actually haven't taken that much damage either. It feels like we've been hit a lot. But a lot of that was just them knocking us around.
Got it.
Never a dull moment.
Oop. Not quite what I was going for, but it's fine. Ah, right into the vines. Yeah, see, like that. That doesn't actually hurt us. Those guys might have actually done some damage if they hadn't been so stuck on regaling us.
If not over, then
But
through.
what can you expect? They're bird brains.
Whatever comes, I'm ready.
Okay, well that didn't work. Right, so it works on that patch, but what about the denser foliage over... Oh, hey, bud. What about the denser foliage over here?
This way.
See, because we've got these 7 crystals on
Have a lot on my mind.
the circular wheel on one side,
In it.
which makes me think we've got 7 crystals around the base. But because of the foliage, we can only actually see 5.
Another step
The fact that crystals are marked as interactive really does seem to imply we need access to all 7 of them. Oh, right, and another small boon from wiping these poor guys out is ample eagle feathers. That's going to be like a good 10, 12 potions of flying. Jay?
Glorious! Feathers bloody everywhere, mate! Feels good to be home in my nest.
I mean, pretty sure it wasn't your nest, but I'm not 100% certain. But that aside, ignoring that. Based on my rudimentary understanding of bird ethics, I feel like this is actually my nest now, isn't it? That's how it works, right? You take it, it's yours. So I'm kind of wondering why you're in my nest.
Why do you want it? You lot don't even lay eggs. Let me have it. I'll make it worth your while.
I mean, first off, I'm fairly certain we do lay eggs, but I would have to double check that. Also, I don't know, man, this is a pretty great nest. You'd better have something pretty fantastic to offer up in trade.
I'm sorry. I'm just a bird. I don't have things to give you. Although, when I escaped the eagles, I spotted something buried near that ferry dock. Might be worth a look.
Oh, okay. I guess we just accepted your deal. Fair enough. And we got 10 XP. Cool.
Bet these eagle corpses will scare any more of the big winged bastards away.
I'm gonna bet it won't. You are definitely getting eaten by a giant eagle, but I guess that's just bird ethics. Enjoy it while you can, bud. Alright, well, now that we're done house flipping the bird, let's go see if this was all worth it. We'll hold off on the other half of the roof for a moment, just long enough to hit the altar chamber. See what that nets us. And obviously we're running long at this point, but that's fine. Might as well round out this last bit of exploration before we call it. And there we go. Also, Warhammer fell through the altar, but that's fine. We can still grab it. Note to the next Dawnmaster. And Dawnmaster's crest. This unusually shaped crest bears the markings of a Lethendarian High Priest, but its practical function is unclear. I've got a few guesses. But let's check that note. I'm sure that'll give us a clue. To the next Dawnmaster. I don't think we're going to make it, but the blood is secure. We closed it off with magic. Only one of our own can take it. If anyone else tries, the walls will fall, and they won't get out of here alive. Should that happen, pray for Rosy Morn Monastery. But do not mourn, it's for the best. In death, new life, always. Intriguing. So the blood is secured somewhere where walls can fall and kill us should we try to take it. Unless we're marked as one of their own, which is almost certainly what that crest is for. So that does feel fairly straightforward. Aside, of course, from location. Honestly, at this point, we've canvassed enough of the place that I feel like it's pretty certain the blood is secured underneath the monastery. So that's something we'll probably have to take from the Gith.
The weapon stopped glowing. How odd.
Yeah, funny how that works. Not like we have much use for these things, but might as well grab them. That's a cool 200G. And let's head back up top. clear that last bit of roof. I feel like that'll put us at a good place to call it. We still do have the main entrance chamber, which we have access to on the far side. So yeah, putting us up on the roof on that side will actually put us just above where we need to be anyway. And then next time, we'll punch into the entrance area, we'll clear that, and then we'll crash the Gith's party. Also, oh, yep, there it is. Blue Jay's Find. That is actually a spot we've already cleared. That was the dead-end path with the obvious dig spot. The curse of being thorough. Nice. Yeah, not really a lot going on over here. Oh, wait. Here we go. Nice little stash off in this collapsed tower. Yeah, I guess that's it. That chest, the potion, this corpse over here. Ooh. Holy Lance Helm. Smite the Graceless. Creatures who miss their attack rolls against the wearer must make a dex save or take 1d4 radiant. +1 con saves. Brief halos of divine light wrap your head when you don and doff this helmet. Obviously, the ability is nothing to write home about, but... Actually... Yeah, it's still not that great. I was thinking in conjunction with the Radiant Orbs, it might be another source, but people would actually have to actively attack Shadow to trigger it, which is something we generally try to avoid. Though, more intriguingly, the name implies that this is something tied to the lance over yonder, so this may in fact be the trick to activating or interacting with that thing. Could be as simple as someone just having to wear this while they interact with those crystals. We'll toss these over to storage. I think we're done with them. Though, if it turns out we do need them, we can always just pop over and grab them. Oh. Morning Lord's Radiance, plus 1d4 radiant damage. Oh, we must have gotten that for solving the puzzle? Or picking up this helmet? I'm not... We got it somewhere. Alright, well that's cool. We'll take it. Honestly, that buff is immediately already better than the helmet. Simply because it's less restrictive. It's an active damage bonus on weapons as opposed to a subjective reaction to people specifically missing us in combat. Though, I mean, I do also recognize that bonus sources of damage in this game are a slippery slope. Because of the way they stack the numbers, it does get very stupid very quickly. That said, yeah, I feel like this brings us to a good stopping point. We're poised just above the side access to the entrance hall. Though I might pop back and poke at that lance again a bit off-screen now that we have that helmet. I just don't want to waste screen time on it if it ends up being a dud. So we will hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of our usual off-screen bookkeeping, maybe poke around a bit more, make sure we didn't miss anything obvious. and we will pick up here next time, as we delve ever deeper beneath this monastery of madness, to rip the blood from the very heart of its desecrated corpse. The warriors of Kresh-Yerlek will no doubt stand in our path, but we'll find our way past them, one way or another. As they have so dispassionately dispatched the Dawn Masters, so too shall we bleed them dry. For that is the give and take of it. All that and more next time on Baldur's Gate 3. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, CrowkingLoR, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
Fine. Xavier! Xavier! Don't talk to it! It might have germs.